Good morning to our viewers in the United States. Good afternoon if you are tuning in from Jerusalem, and good evening if you're watching from India. Welcome to Notre Dame, a global celebration of the University of Notre Dame. My name is Brian Dorman. Some of you may recognize me as the evening news anchor for ABC 57 News, the local ABC affiliate here in South Bend. I am joined here in the studio by my co-host for the hour, Justine Ward, a 2012 graduate of the University of Notre Dame, and now a reporter with KNWA, the Fox affiliate in Fayetteville, Northwest Arkansas. And Justine, welcome back home to Fighting Irish Country.
Thank you so much, Brian. It's great to be back here at my alma mater. This is actually my second Notre Dame Day. Last year, had a great time working on the inaugural broadcast, and so it's a real pleasure to be back again this year. And if you're just joining us, this is hour 16 of Notre Dame Day, a 29-hour, yes, you heard that right, live broadcast, and it's being streamed all around the world to anyone with an internet connection. We promise you that this hour's broadcast will bring you some of the most interesting stories about the university that we all love so much.
And that's right, Justine. We are broadcasting here in our broadcast house of the studios, the LaFortune Student Center, right here on the campus of the University of Notre Dame.
That's right, Brian. Do you know it's actually one of the oldest buildings on campus? It's been the Student Center here at LaFortune for the last 60 years. In fact, it's one of the most popular spots on campus where students gather to meet, study, maybe even grab a quick something to eat, some quarter dogs, including me when I was a student here, and my dad, who is actually also a Notre Dame alum.
And for us, this will be our broadcast headquarters for the next 14 hours as we celebrate all things Notre Dame and beyond, the great stories that we are telling during Notre Dame Day. We have something, of course, very special going on. You, our viewers, will have a say in who gets an additional $1 million. Let me say that again here. Our viewing audience, you have total control today of where $1 million will be distributed here at Notre Dame.
That's exactly right, Brian. The total votes cast during our Notre Dame Day broadcast for student clubs, resident halls, the academy, and campus entities will determine what percentage of that $1 million they will get.
So, of course, the more votes that you cast for your favorite academic unit, club, hall, team, and so on during Notre Dame Day, the higher the percentage of $1 million they will receive.
And Brian, we would be remiss if we didn't give a quick shout out to the donors who were kind enough to provide Notre Dame Day with this $1 million gift. Pretty awesome.
That is indeed. And if you are making a gift during Notre Dame Day today, you can vote for the Notre Dame entity that you would like to get part of the $1 million in challenge funds. Student clubs, college departments, institutions and centers, residence halls, athletics, you get to vote. At the conclusion of Notre Dame Day, each participating entity will receive a portion of the challenge funds based on the percentage of overall votes received. That means that your $10 gift has the possibility of turning into a $100 gift. So please consider making a gift and voting for your favorite Notre Dame group.
That's right, Brian. We have some great stories coming up this hour. We have Christine Halfpenny, coach of the Notre Dame women's lacrosse team, Dean Nell Jessup Newton from the law school, Coach Mick Aoki out at the baseball field, and a very special call from Notre Dame alum and Major League Baseball executive John McHale Jr. and so many other great stories. So before we get to those, let's check in with our Notre Dame Day reporter from our local ABC affiliate, a co-worker of yours, Jackie Layer. Hi, Jackie.
Okay, thanks, Justine and Brian. Right now, I'm at Frank X Stadium with head baseball coach Mick Aoki. And Mick has led the Irish to be a top 25 ranked team so far this season. And we are very pleased to have him with us today to talk about this unique baseball field. Mick, thanks again for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Now, the field doesn't look like any other baseball field that I've seen. Mick, where is the dirt?
We don't have a lick of dirt on this entire field unless somebody walks it in on their feet. So it's a nice maintenance thing for us. We don't have to do a whole lot of maintenance. From a field maintenance standpoint, there's very little as well, and it's able to play throughout the course of the year regardless of what the temperatures are like. If we've gotten a little precipitation that particular day, about the only thing that keeps us is one of our snowstorms in January or February.
Certainly right. Now, what factored into the decision, you did mention the weather, to take the dirt out altogether?
I think probably the weather was the biggest deal. I think the other deal is the field maintenance thing, because a college baseball field gets so much play on it. We don't have a practice facility. This is our practice facility. We host camps and tournaments throughout the course of the year, and keeping a field up with that type of wear and tear on it is really difficult. And then the other thing is the weather factor here in South Bend. And so we can continue to play on this until November or December, whenever the snow starts to really fly. We can get out here, and it's the exact same surface. We were fortunate enough to be able to practice on about a half a dozen times in January before the snow really came in February. And the field is no different today than it was in January, than it would be in July. And so it gives our kids a really consistent playing surface upon which to compete, but also to practice and continue developing.
Right. So you did mention the baseball players. Now, did they have any advantages with using the turf rather than, say, a regular natural field?
Well, I think one of the big advantages is the idea that we were able to get out here in January. I've been here 5 years. It's the first time that we've been able to be out here in January, in spite of even 3 years ago, as good as the weather was 3 years ago here. A natural surface just isn't going to recover in January to be able to play. So for us to be able to do that has been great. We can stay out on it until November, into December. We can do things. And, as long as it's reasonably warm or reasonably cold, whichever the way you want to look at it, we can be out here, which is nice.
Right. Like today. It's a little breezy out here today, a little on the chilly side. But I know, Coach, that you're now finishing up the conference schedule, and you've got a few other games still before the ACC tournament. So what can we expect from the Irish down in Durham for the next game?
Well, first of all, we still got to qualify to get down there. So between now and then, we hope that we qualify. We think we're in a good position to be able to do that. But, I think we're a team that's based on pitching and defense, and then hopefully we continue to get some timely hitting to win these things. But we've got an important week ahead of us. We've got Michigan State coming in here this week, and Sacramento State out of California, so that's a little unusual to see a California team here in South Bend. Right. And then a Louisiana team at the end of the week with Northwestern State coming in. So a good week for us, and hope to rebound from a tough weekend down in Winston-Salem this weekend.
Okay, great. And also tell us about these gold helmets that we have here. So again, this is new for this season, right?
It is, yeah. These things have actually probably been in existence for about 10 days at this point. And we are, sort of following suit on what football started, I guess, probably 2 years ago, I think. Then I think our hockey team has been wearing that really shiny gold, and our lacrosse team, our men's lacrosse team has as well. And so we wanted to sort of follow suit. Seems like a fitting way to have done it with, Father Ted's passing this year and being able to put something on our head that replicates a little bit of the Golden Dome.
Right. Nice and shiny and just off the hot presses, right?
It sure
10 days old.
Yeah.
We got it on here for ND Day. But again, thanks so much, Mick Aoki, for stopping by with us, or at least having us stop by at the field to check it out. And again, now I'm going to toss it back to Brian in the studio.
All right, Jackie, nice job for us. Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be joined on the telephone now by Tom Betty, a truly legendary producer in the field of television news, someone who's worked for the major networks and the major broadcasters, including more than a decade on ABC News' Nightline with Ted Koppel. Tom, welcome to Notre Dame Day.
Thank you, Brian. It's a great day.
Tom, we are pleased to have you on the line, and we would like to know, how did you get your start in television news?
Well, I thought I was going to be a sports writer, that I was the sports editor of the Scholastic, but part of Father Hesburgh's legacy was his constant preaching that you have an obligation to be part of the human community, and involvement in civil rights, which were very hot at that time, Vietnam very hot at the time I was a student. And so Father Ted would always say, if you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, then do. And that kind of you have to be involved was a huge part of it. And then I went to Columbia Journalism, where Fred Friendly had just resigned as president of CBS News and had been editor on Murrow's producer. And he was the preacher of, again, you have to be involved in the larger world, and always said, if you, what you don't know can kill you. And so kind of coming out of a time when we'd gone through the Kennedy assassination in the 60s, so much were going on, he convinced me that television was a place where, even though it's an entertainment medium, you could have maximum impact, and I just fell in love with television, and I've loved 48 years of doing that.
And Tom, no doubt you've worked with some interesting, intriguing people over your career. Talk a little bit, if you would, for us about your time with Ted Koppel over at Nightline.
Well, Ted Koppel is exactly like he seems on television. He's smart, he's open-minded, a man of real values, but just a lot funnier than he seems on the air. He always reserved the funniness for the comedians, but it's just a privilege to work with somebody who committed 26 years of his life going on 5 nights a week, late night television, making his job was to make what was important interesting, and doing it in a thoughtful, civil way, helping people understand the answer to the question of why should I care, and at a time when people are saying, are anchors that important? Yes, Ted being there every night, setting a standard for what was civil, thoughtful discussion, I think made a huge difference to the world, and to help him on that was just a deeply satisfying experience.
And I know that from time to time you actually have the opportunity to come teach here at Notre Dame. What got you back working with students here in South Bend?
No, I come back whenever I can to recruit students to be the next Ted Koppels. I think Notre Dame is a remarkable place, one, for a standard for ethics that are desperately needed in journalism right now, and people having their moral compasses set straight. The students are absolutely, talented, great, and as I say, what journalists often do is try to answer the question, why should I care? And therefore, journalists have to be intensely caring people. And on a lot of campuses, to be too caring isn't cool. But at Notre Dame, that is, caring is a very important part of things. And so these kids, I think, are just absolutely the right recruits for journalism. They've come with a notion of public service, and as far as I'm concerned, journalism is first and foremost a public service.
Tom, the changes over the years, no doubt, of the course, even just my career of 10 years, certainly during your career, what are some of the changes that you've seen in broadcast journalism, and your advice for those that are up and coming in the business?
Well, broadcast journalism has become a lot of different things. Journalism kind of gets confused with media and news, and in the advent of cable TV and television, the cable stations advocating either a liberal or conservative standpoint, I think that people get confused, people who are partisan propagandists, very talented people at having great opinions and very fixed opinions, and we need to understand those aren't journalists. Those are something else that is important to the political discussion. But journalists are people who, first and foremost, are humble and understand they don't know everything, and are willing to go out and try to learn and try to figure out what's really going on, and to try to come back and report it accurately. So I think the attitude of the story I'm out to get may or may not be right. That's a hypothesis. I'm going to go report it and find out if it's true, is the attitude that journalists need, and the attitude that a lot of Notre Dame students come in with, and therefore make great journalism recruits.
Tom, I can't thank you enough for your time today, and it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and we'd like to head things over now to Justine Ward, who has a wonderful guest here in studio with us. Justine.
So much, Brian. We are joined by Nell Jessup Newton, the Joseph A. Mattson Dean of Notre Dame Law School. And Dean Newton, welcome to Notre Dame Day. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Justine. It's great to be here.
And we have heard that Notre Dame makes a different kind of lawyer. If you could maybe talk me through that.
Yes, this is a phrase that we're very proud of. It means many things to many people. We cultivate at Notre Dame Law School both the life of the mind and the wisdom of the heart. And for our graduates, what this means is practicing law at the highest level of technical proficiency, and at the same time remembering to keep balance in their lives and to act always in the service of others.
And what are some of the innovative classes here at the Notre Dame Law School?
Well, I could probably take another half an hour for that, but I will highlight a few. We have a Master of Science in Patent Law and a Certificate in Patent Prosecution, both of which are in concert with the Schools of Science and Business and Engineering. And these programs are aimed at scientists and engineers and help them prepare to be patent examiners or patent prosecutors. They're wonderful programs. In addition, we have an LLM program in London, and we've sort of repatriated that program to South Bend. So this Master of Laws program is designed for foreign lawyers and judges who can take courses with our JD students, and they can do it in London or South Bend, or perhaps a semester in each.
And you also have programs in Washington, D.C., Chicago. Are those newer programs, or we've had them?
Yes, we have a semester in Chicago, a semester in Washington, D.C., and those are externship programs. We now have 9 externship programs, and these two, one in Chicago and one in Washington, D.C., in addition to the ones in South Bend, these two other programs enable the students to go to the site and work for 4 days a week in their placements supervised by our faculty. They're wonderful programs. The DC program just started this year. The Chicago program started a few years ago and is located in our beautiful facilities in the Loop in Chicago.
Oh, wow. Both great places to be.
Indeed.
And so what are some Notre Dame law graduates, what are they up to these days?
Well, our law graduates are doing everything. They're running major companies. They're hiring partners at major, AmLaw 100 firms. They're general counsels of major corporations. But I thought I'd highlight a few recent grads who are doing really great things. First, Megan Dilhoff and Ryan Snyder, who are clerking at the Supreme Court this year. I think they were interviewed earlier today. We're so proud of them. In addition, Jason Baymeg, who graduated only 2 years ago, is a legal tech entrepreneur who's running a startup in Silicon Valley. And Jason and a venture capitalist recently taught a course at the law school in legal technology and informatics that dealt with everything from artificial intelligence to document review, you name it, they covered it in this great course. In addition, Brian Murray of the class of 11, Brian was one of our first Schaefer Fellows, Public Interest Fellows, and he was recently admitted to the Temple University a visiting assistant professor program, sort of training for our new professors. Sean Seymour of the class of 06 is at Vanderbilt, and he was just named a Chancellor's Fellow. And then finally, we've had 3 federal judges just this year who were confirmed, and I had the pleasure of going to the investiture of Jack Blakey, who is Professor Bob Blakey's son, and Bob had the privilege of making the motion to admit his son. It was a great day for Notre Dame.
A long list of successful graduates, I'm sure many more. What do you say to hopefuls out there? It's obviously a very competitive program, hoping to get into the law school.
Well, it is extremely competitive. As I was saying earlier, right now we have more students than we have spaces, but we think things will sort themselves out in the next few months. I would say to hopefuls, just do your best to present yourself as somebody who aspires to be a different kind of lawyer. And in addition to getting good grades and doing well on the LSAT, show us the special characteristics that make you someone who'd be very fit for the law school.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dean Newton, for taking time out of your day to join us here for this Notre Dame Day celebration.
Thanks so much, Justine.
Thank you again, Dean. And we're going to toss it over to Brian, and I think you have somebody special all the way from Africa on the phone lines. Is that right, Brian?
Yeah, can you believe it, Justine? We are now joined by 2 Notre Dame students in the West African nation of Senegal, Ethan Mulestein, Anna Kelly, and their professor, Saragne Ndiaye. Ethan, let's begin with you, my friend. What are you studying there in Senegal, and where are you studying?
I'm currently studying in the Language and Culture Department of the CIE program in Senegal. We're studying in a neighborhood of Dakar, and we all live in different other neighborhoods such as Mermoz and Welcome, and we live with those families. I currently study environment and development, Senegalese society and culture. I also study the French language and the Wolof language, which is a prevalent native tongue of Senegal. And I also study Règlement d'écrit, which is an international management crisis class.
And Anna, to you, there are more than 200 countries in the world. What made you choose Senegal?
Yeah, I knew that I wanted to study abroad in Africa because I felt it would be a really unique experience. And I wanted a program with the French aspect, but I didn't really want to go to Europe because I felt there would be things there that were more similar to the U.S. Whereas here, it's just very different, and it's just really, really unique experience. So I chose Senegal, and it has been amazing. There's so much Teranga, which is hospitality and Moloch, and it's a lot of love. So I'm glad with the choice that I made.
And Ethan, to you, what has been your most memorable experience there so far?
Well, every day while I'm here has been a new experience, and I've learned so much. But I think my favorite has been we go on rural visits for 1 week during the semester. And I live on a farm in Texas, so going to the rural, I really was able to reconnect with my rural roots and be able to experience a totally different culture outside of the city. And a small community of 97 people learning how they live, getting water from the well, helping cook, and really experiencing a totally different part of the culture. So I think it's a well-rounded experience.
And Professor, the best thing about teaching these Notre Dame students?
Hello?
A professor, the best part about teaching these Notre Dame students?
Hello? I can't hear.
All right, just having a little bit of a trouble there with our Skype connection from Africa. Great, thank you so much for the professor and the two students for joining us. We appreciate you. All the way from Africa here on Notre Dame Day. Coming up, we'll be talking to an executive director of Shakespeare here at Notre Dame right after this short break. Stay with us.
As a family, we always dreamed of someday owning a home. After years of hard work and sacrifice, our dream came true. But when Hurricane Sandy hit in the fall of 2012, we lost everything. The stress, the uncertainty, the financial pressure, it was all so overwhelming, and we didn't know if we would ever be able to rebuild.
Since 2005, Professor Marianne Casado, a graduate of Notre Dame's School of Architecture, has worked to design innovative housing solutions for victims of natural disasters.
In the immediate aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, it became obvious as a nation we were unprepared to meet both the short-term and the long-term needs of those who lost their homes. My goal was to design a solution that was not only fast, affordable, and safe, but one that would also provide people with a beautiful home they would be proud to live in.
Through her Katrina cottage designs, Casado created a groundbreaking alternative to the FEMA trailer, benefiting over 3,000 families. Now, in partnership with Clayton Homes, she is working to further improve emergency housing through the design of high-quality modular homes, the first of which have been constructed in Union Beach, New Jersey.
Marianne's design not only gives us a new house that we can feel safe in, but also a house that feels like a home.
We're incredibly proud of Marianne's work. It reflects the mission of the School of Architecture to educate students to strive to have a lasting impact on people's lives.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting to design a better home.
We are the Fighting Irish.
And welcome back to Notre Dame Day. I'm Justine Ward, and joining me in the studio now is Scott Jackson, Executive Director of Shakespeare at Notre Dame, a world-renowned program that celebrates the power, imagination, excitement, and challenge of Shakespeare's works, both on the page and on the stage. Welcome to Notre Dame Day, Scott.
Thank you.
And with Scott today is Guillermo Alonso, and you're a senior FTT major, which was my major as well during my time at Notre Dame. And you actually are on the stage for most of this.
Yes, that is correct. This summer I'll be part of the Young Company, which is the branch of the Notre Dame Shakespeare Festival that goes out into the community and puts on these shows at parks or these other locations that are normally not used to seeing Shakespeare, especially outside.
And what have been the challenges for you as the actor to get into character, that type thing?
Yeah, you know, after reading Shakespeare in high school, to me Shakespeare was this like super academic thing where we read it and try to analyze it. And once I started doing it from the acting perspective, I realized that like these are very beautifully human characters that you get to play, and they're very complex. And then just the idea of playing them outside and making them accessible to people, I think it's just, it motivates me more to try and, you know, to work with this beautiful text and the language and try to make it so that people can understand it and forget all those things that you're taught in school about what Shakespeare is.
And Scott, what would you like to say about the program and what it means to work with students like Guillermo on these old texts that we're making relevant to today?
Absolutely. Well, the history of Shakespeare here at Notre Dame goes back over 150 years to the height of the Civil War. In 1864, there was a production of Henry IV that was staged, and since then, student productions have been a major part of the undergraduate experience here at Notre Dame. And then the modern history of that comes to us about 2000, when the Notre Dame Shakespeare Festival was founded, and actors from the London stage took up residency as the American base here at Notre Dame. And since then, we've combined those two major producing organizations into an internationally respected producing organization, and that's allowed us to then spill over and bridge the divide between the performance world and academia. So we also have a lot of programs that really focus on Shakespeare on the page, as well as, like Guillermo was saying, on the stage as well.
And you mentioned bridging the gap. Is there any challenges in teaching Shakespeare?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Well, there's what I call the sophomore jinx when we were sophomores in high school, and we were made to sit in our literature class and just kind of read this script that had no relevance to our lives for hours and hours. And for a lot of people, that turns them off to Shakespeare for the rest of their lives. And so one of our priorities is to actually counter that education with engaging them directly in the words of Shakespeare so that they become personal to each individual, because that's what makes Shakespeare relevant after 450 years. It's the way that his characters are grappling with complex human situations that we can all relate to, whether it's themes of revenge, and jealousy, betrayal, or absolute happiness. You know, it's not all doom and gloom in Shakespeare.
Yes.
There's a lot of fun as well.
And some love as well, of course.
A bit of love. Yeah, absolutely.
And what is your favorite Shakespeare play?
My favorite Shakespeare play, I love Hamlet, but as I start to get older, I'm really getting fond of King Lear as well.
Okay. All right, and Guillermo, your favorite character, you said it earlier, a really nice phrase, how beautifully human Shakespeare's characters are. I love that phrase. What has been your favorite character to play?
To play, I would say Poins. It was this guy who just really didn't care about what society thought was right, what was wrong. He just did what he felt he had to do in order to survive, you know? Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you both, gentlemen, for being here, joining us on this celebration of Notre Dame. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
All right. And let's go back over to Brian. And again, Brian has another special guest on the phone lines for us.
All right, Justine, thank you so much. We do have a very special caller on the line, Notre Dame alum and man of many accomplishments, John McHale, Jr., class of 1971, the executive vice president at Major League Baseball. John, welcome, my friend, to Notre Dame Day.
Brian, thank you very much. You didn't tell me you were going to put me on after Shakespeare.
I understand that you were born into a Notre Dame family. Tell us about it.
Well, my father was a 1945 graduate, although he entered as a part of the class of 43. His studies were interrupted by some service in the Navy at that time. And his younger brother, Tom, was, I believe, a 52 graduate. So I had some good guidance to South Bend.
And I know that after you graduated Notre Dame, you earned a couple of law degrees at Boston College as well as Georgetown, which of course led you to a 10-year career as a lawyer in Denver before making a huge career shift to jump into professional baseball with the Colorado Rockies. Tell us about that and that transition.
Well, I think the transition was probably prompted by an excess of hubris. I was part of a team of wonderfully dedicated, enthusiastic, mostly volunteers who worked hard to keep Colorado and Denver alive as a possible relocation site or an expansion site for Major League Baseball. This is an effort which dated back to the rumors surrounding the origin of the Continental League back in the early 60s, and so people were looking at it as a decades-old quest. But we ended up being somewhat like the dog that finally caught the bus. We were fortunate enough to be awarded an expansion franchise by the National League in 1991 on the strength, really, of the new stadium proposal. and I had been fairly deeply involved in that work for a couple of years. And the new ownership group gave me a chance to transition to the club side. I was giddy at the opportunity and accepted, and have really never really looked back, except with some regret at the missing the wonderful community of lawyers and judges in Colorado and Denver. But it's been a wonderful life, and I've had a lot of great opportunities, and it was really a remarkable confluence of factors and a great opportunity for me.
And John, let's talk about some of those opportunities. I'm from the city of Detroit, so I know that you run the Detroit Tigers, the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, for an owner, by the way, who is a fellow Notre Dame alum. And now you're the executive vice president of Major League Baseball. As you look back at your career in baseball, what are you most proud of?
Well, I think that the project which resulted in the development of Comerica Park in Detroit is probably the most gratifying, because it was, without question, the most difficult thing that I have been involved in baseball. The many factors working against development in downtown Detroit had to be encountered. We had again, wonderful support from the mayor, Dennis Archer, enough support statewide, and we had the burning, undying, undeniable commitment of an owner who was just going to see this thing done no matter what. It had a lot of obstacles, a lot of lawsuits, a lot of litigation, but eventually it ended up being a combined project with the Lions. And every time I see a baseball game from Comerica Park and I see that skyline of Detroit, I'm very, very proud of the role that I played, along with many others, in making that a reality.
And John, we all want to know, as we wrap up your interview here, if you still have time to follow the Fighting Irish sports teams here at Notre Dame.
Yeah, of course I do. You never lose that enthusiasm. I was, as would be expected, we had a great manager named Mike Keating, who's a class behind me, who keeps an internet link going of all of us from that era. And I was reviewing some material sent by my old teammate Bill Bars just a short while ago. So yeah, I have plenty of time to follow the Notre Dame football team.
All right, John, I was stoked I was able to do this interview today. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us for Notre Dame Day, my friend.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
All right, thank you. Go Irish. Justine, back to you.
Still it's time to follow the Fighting Irish football team. And I am pleased to be joined now by Leo Collins, class of 1967 with the Notre Dame Club of Minnesota. Good morning, Minnesota. Welcome to Notre Dame Day.
Good morning and happy Notre Dame Day.
Happy Notre Dame Day to you. And how many members do you have in your club?
We have nearly 500 members in the Minnesota Club, and the Minnesota Club is a pretty active club with all kinds of activities for young alum, seniors, Golden Domers, and we do the full complement of Notre Dame events. We have game watches for all the football games, but we also have them for basketball and for hockey, because this is kind of hockey country here in Minnesota. And we are a very active club with young alums. We have a Women's Connect group, a senior group that does service projects through Catholic Charities. So it's been a fun group to be part of for over 40 years.
Wow, over 40 years. And you mentioned some of the game watches. Do you have any events coming up?
We have a lot of events coming up. Actually, we've just finished a game watching the indoor lacrosse, our Swarm team here, owned by a Notre Dame grad. And then we'll have game watches. We'll go out to a Twins game. We've also had time for Minnesota Wild games, and we're going to have a Vikings preseason game, as well as all of the watching and tailgating for Notre Dame games here in Minnesota.
And tell us about your scholarship fund. The Notre Dame Club of St. Louis actually helped me through my college career here at Notre Dame. And tell me about the Minnesota's Club Scholarship Fund and what you use that for.
Well, we have actually two different scholarships as part of the Minnesota Club. One of them is actually sponsored by a teammate of mine on the 1966 national championship team, Chief Justice Alan Page. We help with that scholarship as well as the Minnesota Scholarship Fund. And we usually sponsor 6 freshmen and help them through all 4 years at Notre Dame. So we're currently have 24 students involved that are getting support from the Minnesota Club. So it's the great things that we do.
All right. Thank you so much, Leo, for joining us, and our best to the members of the Notre Dame Club of Minnesota. And please stay tuned for more great stories after this short break.
All right. Thanks.
This is my city. My grandfather worked in the factories here. My parents met and fell in love here. They taught in the city's schools, while the factories closed and the jobs disappeared. I grew up with the knowledge that behind the facade of empty buildings was a spark of innovation that made this city great. I've always been proud of South Bend's past, but I'm even more proud to be part of its future.
Andrew Wyand is a member of Enfocus, a fellowship program in which graduates of Notre Dame's Masters in Entrepreneurship work to create new ventures and improve existing systems for the city of South Bend and local businesses.
The goal of the Enfocus program is to capitalize on the student body here at Notre Dame and to bring an entrepreneurial spirit and cutting-edge technology skills to the real-world problems that we have in the community.
In their first year of operation, the Enfocus team has helped save the South Bend community an estimated $3.2 million through innovative initiatives with local healthcare providers, as well as the city's schools and fire department.
In the case of the fire department, we were able to analyze their operations and discover that they could save over $1 million by deploying SUVs rather than fire trucks for the large amount of non-emergency calls that they receive.
These entrepreneurs, they're solving real-world problems, they're saving taxpayer money, and their energy is contagious. The city needs allies, and we're very glad that we have an ally in Notre Dame.
It's been unbelievable to be an active part of real change in my hometown. But what's more exciting is that the Enfocus model that we've developed here can be applied to other hard-hit cities all over the country.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting for my hometown.
We are Fighting Irish.
Welcome back to Notre Dame Day and our studio here at La Fortune Student Center. I'm Justine Ward, and I'm pleased to be joined by Father Pete McCormick, a Holy Cross priest who is the director of campus ministry at Notre Dame, and the former rector of Keogh Hall. Welcome to Notre Dame Day, Father.
Thank you, Justine. Appreciate it.
How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Excited for Notre Dame Day.
I know, pretty exciting. And tell me a little bit about campus ministry here on campus.
So campus ministry at Notre Dame has a long established tradition and history of working with students, and so we have a variety of different opportunities that students can plug into, from freshman all the way through senior, and not only that, but it's varying levels of faith. So if you're a person who's just figuring out what it means to be Catholic, we have things for you there. But also if you're someone who's been a long committed and practiced Catholic, we also have that. In addition, even if you're not Catholic, we have a lot of opportunities for interfaith moments and conversations and retreats. So a lot's going on over in campus ministry.
Yeah, and what kind of services do you provide?
So we have retreats, we have pilgrimages, we have sacramental preparation, we have theology on tap. We also have great opportunities for folks just to get together. So one of our most exciting opportunities is our Anchor Formation Program, where we bring sophomores and juniors in, and they're trained and prepared ultimately to be leaders in the faith. So when they leave Notre Dame, they're prepared for what is to come.
And leaders in faith, have you seen a lot of students transform in their faith at their time here in Notre Dame?
Oh, absolutely. I think about my time as being a rector of Keogh Hall to see the transformation from freshman to senior. I'm only in this job as director of campus ministry for the past couple months, so right now I'm just excited that people have not revolted against me.
And what about your vision for campus ministry? Where would you like to see it go from here? Obviously already doing a great job, but what would you like to see?
You know, I think that we have so many opportunities. I was recently at one of our peer institutions just doing some benchmarking, and to realize in a new way what resources we have when it comes to the people that I have working in campus ministry, to the building that we have located right in the heart of campus, and just, of course, the creative ideas that are coming. So for us to say to ourselves, we have an incredible responsibility to continue to be good stewards of the faith and the resources that we have. So I would imagine and envision continuing to empower our students to be leaders in faith, to not simply do things for them or offer programming, but in fact, to actually give them the chance to learn while they're here, and for us to provide real mentoring opportunities for them.
And Notre Dame is a special place for anybody who's spent time here, whether you're alum or not. What would you say about that? What is it that makes Notre Dame just that special, gives you that special feeling?
I think Notre Dame's a place that it's okay to be faithful. A person can come to this campus and realize that they can be on any spectrum of faith, and it's okay to pursue that and to deepen and understand what that means and how to integrate that into their life. And so I think that anytime you have the opportunity to really explore what it means to respond to God's call and invitation is more fulfilling and more meaningful in the end.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Father.
You're welcome.
Happy Notre Dame Day to you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And we'll be right back after a quick break.
In Nepal, millions of girls live in extreme poverty, deprived of their most basic human rights. They never get a chance to go to school or even learn how to read and write. Many are abandoned, abused, or forced into child labor. When I heard about these conditions, I knew I had to do more than just hope for a better life for these girls. I had to help them achieve it.
Notre Dame soccer player Lindsey Brown and her national champion teammates were able to sponsor the education of several girls at the Coppola Valley School through a series of campus fundraisers. Determined to make an even bigger impact, Lindsey traveled to Nepal over the summer to volunteer as a teacher and to start the school's girls' soccer team.
Roasties open! It's been amazing to see the girls out there on the soccer field for the first time in their lives, just bursting with confidence. We want our girls to become the first women of this generation in Nepal to be leaders and teachers and doctors. And you can see the daily impact of what Lindsey has done for them.
We are incredibly proud of the work that Lindsey and the other members of our national championship women's soccer team have done in Nepal. It really speaks to the mission of the university and reflects our belief in the power of athletics to educate, to inspire, and to build community, and Lindsey's done all of that.
Helping others is really at the heart of the Notre Dame experience. That's why I love going to a school where I can play at such a high level of soccer, pursue my academics, and be encouraged to make a difference in someone else's life.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting on and off the field.
We are the Fighting Irons!
All right, everyone, welcome back. I am here with Christine Halfpenny, head coach of the Notre Dame women's lacrosse team. Christine, welcome to Notre Dame Day.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I know we were talking during the break a little bit. Let's talk about your last name, Halfpenny. Yeah. I love that. What's the origin of that?
Yeah, well, actually, I guess you would say Providence, Rhode Island. Brown, where I met my now husband, and traded in an Italian maiden name for a British, Scottish last name. So I always tell people, you know, I married it everywhere I get stopped for my last name. It's a fun one.
Yeah, I like that. How about lacrosse? How did you get started in lacrosse?
Yeah, I'm from Albany, New York, and up there it was a grassroots movement. Lacrosse was a rapidly growing sport all over the country, but back in the 90s, I had just started and I picked it up my freshman year in high school. Traded in swimming and basketball and soccer to pick up this new, cool, and fun sport, and fortunately, actually, it has brought me where I am today. I had the opportunity to play at Division I level at Virginia Tech, earn a scholarship, and little did I know that this is what one little sport that looked cool would bring me to an incredible opportunity here at Notre Dame.
Yeah, and so many people want to play here at Notre Dame. I can't imagine that's a tough sell. Tell me about the recruiting process.
Well, the reality is Notre Dame sells itself.
Right.
You know, there's not a big pitch that you have to run. There are no smoke and mirrors here. You know, when we're recruiting our student athletes here at Notre Dame, we have the opportunity to recruit the best of the best, the cream of the crop, and what they are offered when they do choose to come to Notre Dame is they are welcomed into one of the best networks in the world. You know, we are obviously an esteemed institution that puts our students in a situation, in an environment where they are going to be challenged on a daily basis, but they will be competing against the best academically and athletically in the nation. And to do that, You know, you come here, you put your best foot forward, but again, you are welcomed into not just your 4-year journey and not just a 40-year decision. It's a lifetime decision, and you get brought into an incredible sisterhood and brotherhood of remarkable people that have gone before you that will continue to help you once your 4 years is done, and really there's no comparison anywhere in the country.
Yeah, and when you talk about the best of the best, Courtney is certainly best of the best. Talk about her and how she's grown on your team.
Yeah, you know, Courtney Fortunato, she's a sophomore on our team right now. She has grown so much since she's come here. This was a dream school of hers. To be fair, you know, she had kind of put Notre Dame on the map back in her hometown when a massive and hugely decorated player from her hometown, Northport, Jill Byers, went here. That's when she first found out about Notre Dame and started researching it at a very young age. And Courtney followed her dreams, had the opportunity to come here. She was National Rookie of the Year last year, our leading goal scorer. This year, she is tacked on to those accolades and has been doing a tremendous job. She raises the level around her. You know, she's creative, she's fun, she's incredibly athletic. Outstanding genes. I cannot take credit for those. And the players around her, you know, Barbara Sullivan just making all ACC and all tournament team as well. They all play off of each other, and I think that there's, you know, her story is still so unwritten, but the beauty is she is helping to raise this level of our play, our competition level, and our will and desire to be the best team in the nation. And
you've had such big wins. What are you most proud of? You've been here for 4 years now. I remember announcing on our local newscast over at ABC 57 when you joined Notre Dame.
That's right.
Lots happened in 4 years.
Yeah. Well, you know, you have to thank Father Jenkins and Jack Swarbrick for putting us in the ACC. You know, I think that we are positioned to do great things here, and that's so much bigger than me, so much bigger than my team. But what the girls have done, they have thrived in this move to the ACC, and things that I've been proud of. You know, last year we had fortunate opportunities to get 2 massive wins, massive top 5 wins over Duke, as well as Northwestern. This year, creating first and creating history once again, getting 2 road wins against Virginia, a top 5 team and a perennial powerhouse, just made it to the Final Four last year. And I'm not sure who's done that in a while. So with my Virginia background, having been a Hokie and coaching in the state of Virginia previously, to hear, you know, I get how big that is, and especially recently our girls get how big that is. Getting our first ACC tournament win as well was huge this past weekend, and I think that that really just builds up a great deal of confidence for us as we await our selection Sunday and our fate in the NCAA tournament, so we can see our path to again create first for this program and get ourselves further than we've been in the past.
Well, Coach, thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you and having you here today.
Thank you for having me.
With you. Thank you. Much more live from Notre Dame Day here at the University of Notre Dame. Next.
Having served in the military for 32 years, I know that technological progress poses opportunities and challenges. Enhanced soldiers, ever-present surveillance, autonomous weapon systems. The question most often asked about these advancements is, can we? But an equally important question is, should we?
Robert Latiff is a retired Air Force Major General, a former weapons developer, and a professor teaching weapons ethics at the University of Notre Dame's Riley Center for Science, Technology, and Values.
There should probably be. One of the goals of our work here at Notre Dame is to bring the moral and ethical implications of weapons technology to the forefront of our national dialogue, not only in Washington among our current leaders, but also in the classroom where we are educating future leaders.
It's been really great having a diverse class with peace studies majors and ROTC students and poli-sci majors, because consequences of these weapons technologies that I haven't thought about, they have, and it's really deepened our discussions in the classroom.
Now in its 28th year, Notre Dame's Riley Center is a recognized leader in promoting and examining the advancement of science and technology in the pursuit of the common good.
Notre Dame has been a vital collaborator with the Navy as we address some of the ethical challenges of emerging military technologies. Their scholars, including General Latiff, are providing a unique voice in this important new field.
What I love about teaching at Notre Dame is that our students, who come from all walks of life, share the university's mission to be a force for good in the world, and I am honored to help them do that.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
fighting for the ethical use of technology.
We are the Fighting Irish.
And before we begin our next hour, we want to check in now with Jonathan over the Social Media Lounge. Hey, Jonathan.
Hey everyone, thanks again. We're here from the Social Media Lounge. A big thank you to everyone who's watching around the world today, Notre Dame Day. A big thank you to everyone who has taken action, who has clicked that gold button on your screen to make a minimum $10 gift and used your 5 votes to help allocate this year's $1 million challenge fund. We have over 9,000 gifts so far. Can we get to 10,000 before the noon hour on the East Coast? That's up to all of you at home. If you've already made a gift, thank you so much. We encourage you to go and find friends, family, other people, maybe people that you've never really gotten involved with the university before, but they know how great of an experience you had. They know how passionate you are for the university. And most importantly, they know the kind of impact that Notre Dame has as a force for good in the world. And to that end, I wanted to focus this hour on our many centers and institutes that are available for you to give and vote towards this Notre Dame Day. Topping the list right now among centers and institutes, the Harper Cancer Research Institute has 337 votes. That touches so many lives in so many ways around the world every single day, as does the Center for Social Concerns in second place with 332 votes. These are amazing organizations that anyone you know who's oriented or involved with service, Notre Dame is a great university to give through to impact so many different areas of the world. It does so much good in so many different regions. I encourage you, if you were involved with it as an undergrad, if you were involved with it locally, encourage your friends and family to say, hey, look at the great stuff Notre Dame's doing in the world. These are amazing stories that we can help tell the world about the good stuff that Notre Dame is doing, and they can get your votes on Notre Dame Day. So keep an eye on these centers and institutes. It's a really close race between Harper's Center for Social Concerns and Notre Dame's Integrated Imaging Facility, and we'll see how these go throughout today. We'll update these as the day moves on. I know Sarah has a very special guest, though, for us in the Social Media Lounge right now. Sarah?
Jonathan, I'm here with Anna Thompson, and she is the Executive Director of the DeBartolo Performing Arts Center, and she's also the Judd and Mary Lou Layton Director of the Performing Arts here at Notre Dame, and she's been with us since 2007. Really fortunate to have her. And Anna, just tell us everything that's going on with the Performing Arts at Notre Dame.
It's been an exciting year. We're celebrating our 10th anniversary season, and we kicked off the year in April a year ago. We kicked off with a gala celebration in New York City to raise money for our education endowment. Then we came back to Notre Dame in the fall, and we've been celebrating all year long. Most recently, we commissioned 10 works, 2 for our ensemble in residence, Third Coast Percussion, one that premiered in the fall and one that premiered this spring. But then we did 8 choral works for vocal and sacred music, 3 for the Glee Club, and 2 for chorale that all premiered in a 10th anniversary choral celebration, and it was an exciting performance. Not only that, we're going to make a CD out of it that will be available as a gift for some of our alumni and friends of Notre Dame, as well as it was taped for WNIT for future broadcast. So that was really exciting to hear our own students on our stage performing brand new works with 7 composers there to hear them perform.
That's amazing. And do you have a favorite performance, either one that comes through every year or maybe just one that sticks in your mind from the 10 years that the PAC has been around in terms of just an all-time favorite for you?
That's like asking me to pick my favorite child, but I do have to say Diavolo Dance Theater is one of my favorites, and I'm a little partial to them. They're coming back next year to do 3 seminal works that we commissioned over the last 6 years in one performance before they go to Europe to premiere them in Germany. So we will have the performance in the U.S. before they go to Europe. And the pieces originally premiered with the Hollywood Symphony Orchestra at the Bowl, sold out. And then we had the performances at the DPAC with full tech and everything. Outside, when they did them with the orchestra, they didn't have the lighting, they didn't have the stage. It was like, you know, pared down. But when they came to us, it was really something to see. And they're the company that uses structural elements and that are made by an aircraft carrier builder. They're these huge structural elements. The choreographer choreographs Ka for Cirque du Soleil. So amazing stuff. It's not your mother's dance company.
Right.
It's very unusual stuff.
Right.
So we're a little partial to Diablo. And speaking of dance, we have Falavalis on our season to close out this next weekend. And they're doing 3 performances, including two evening performances and 1 for matinees for kids.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so wonderful. So on the film side, tell us about the impact of the Metropolitan Opera and all these great HD performances that you can see live.
Wonderful. We have live, and of course we have filmmakers visiting us all the time. My counterpart Ted Barron, a senior associate director, curates the cinema. We have National Theater Live, which is from the West End. We had Benedict Cumberbatch with Johnny Lee Miller doing Frankenstein this year, switching roles back and forth, which is awesome. And we've had a number of those who were just really well attended. And of course, the Met in high definition sells out immediately. People love seeing the Met.
Sure.
Because while everybody else is at intermission, you can sit in the Browning Cinema and watch the interviews backstage with the sopranos and the conductors and see all the close-up shots that you would never see from the nosebleed section of the Met.
That's great. Well, Anna, thank you so much. So many great things happening every single week at the Performing Arts Center. It's been such a great addition to this campus over the last 10 or so years. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy Notre Dame Day.
Thank you. And don't forget to give us $10 for our 10th anniversary.
All right, we'll see you guys again at the top of the hour.